Hey, I'm Pat B,
And I'm Adam Willis.
and you're listening to the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. Theme pop there. Right. Give it a second. Breathe in. Sorry, gotta stop smoking. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. I look to the side of me, my homeboy. I say it often because you know he will. He drinks your milkshake. I'm talking, of course, about Black Adam Willis.
Yes, sir. How we doing, Patrice?
I'm okay, man.
Yeah, you on edge today, though.
Ooh,
I sense it.
I'm just trying to be all about business, yo. Too many curves being thrown at brother.
I got
Some
you.
point I'm trying not to snap. Have one of those moments where everyone that's white looks red. And then I go, I'm sorry. Hey,
Get a little hyped up. I
friends,
get you.
friends. But no, dude, we got a nice complement of experts in the house. I look to my far right. I see the man who's tinkering and twiddling and all other types of T words there. I'm talking, of course, about now it doesn't start with a T, just Johnny.
Yep.
And of course, the outbox, the champ of 17 states, the always pugilistic, always pugnacious, always well primped and proper, always well informed Mix Macabre.
Sup?
Hey. And of course, keeping us sounding crisp and delicious, the shaggier than shaggy, the scruffier than scruffy. But we love him. He's got the fro of all fros, DJ Herbie Herb. Hey, what's up, guy? How you doing?
It is actually nice. You got that. Yeah. This is I'm looking it directly on now. It is.
It's got that summer height.
So if
here you got this, sir.
Thank you.
So if you're watching us on video, you can see it. Yeah, that's great.
The always well coiffed, never thoroughly coughed on mic at least.
Coiffed is one of my favorite words. I think coiffed.
It's a good word.
Or coiffure.
Foods that begin with the letter Q for 500.
What do you got, buddy? What do you got?
It does not begin with the letter Q.
No. We're talking
Quiche.
about quince.
Quince. What is a quince?
What is a quince? That was
Too many white men can't jump references in the.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Herb is like, he's African. He's good. All right, but now we have an awesome, action-packed, fun-filled show for you. A lot of interesting stuff happened, dude. We have ConnectiCon on the table.
Yeah.
We have Dead by Daylight, and apparently the most interesting things to say about that sucker. Survival horror at its finest, my friends.
Yeah, I can't wait for this review. She's hyping it up already.
The indie comic Sapphire Spectre.
Based on the novel Push by.
What? No.
Based on the novel Push by.
No.
Sapphire.
You're talking about some E.L. James references. Awful stuff. No. This is by Zane. There's like 5 black people that are sitting there, like, shaking their head at their radio right now. And of course, dude, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Right.
The best for last.
Is it? I mean, I've seen it. I've seen enough of these movies where I'm not really excited. I have to see it, so I'm excited for your review.
Okay.
But
we'll hype you up.
All that shell shock fool you.
Okay.
I think they pulled out a win in this one, but we'll get to the nitty-gritty details. Of course, right now, I just want to jump in with the topic that I know Herb has been just chomping at the bit to discuss in full. Like this man right here, his shirt says it all. If you can see on the mic, on the camera. If you can't, well, that's your fault.
You can see it on the mic.
I'm glad you're referencing him now as him being excited, because it was always me for a long time, and I never knew.
Well, I mean, Herb, no one actually hears, so I can fake it. People can see you just like, yeah, whatever, buddy. Move on. Move along.
Can't wait for this. Yeah.
Well, Herb can at least, like, I can fake the audiences that he's not tired of my shenanigans.
Right. Okay.
You yourself are done with the
chicken. It's been years now. I get used to it. I like it.
Yeah, I know. It's like your battered wife syndrome. Like,
don't worry, I'm gonna cook dinner anyway. It's fine. Yeah.
I don't hear no jokes. But no. The matter at hand we're talking about is filmmakers getting into television.
Yeah.
Now, what actually spawned this is a recent revelation that John Carpenter is going to be the latest to dip his toe into the small screen waters.
Right.
He's actually developing a few TV series for ABC.
A few, not just
not just one, based off a graphic novel. When I originally read this,
so not based on like any of his other work, you know what I mean? So he's just going in with new material. Okay.
And I originally read the story and thought it was going to be off his movies. I'm like, that might be actually kind of interesting. Then I saw a graphic novel and I'm like, this is going to be this dude taking on original properties.
Yeah, we're not going to see like an Escape from New York TV show.
Oh,
which would be great, I think.
Yeah, that's something that would actually lend itself to TV because there's so many characters you could have.
Right.
Well, my problem with
that
Escaping
from New York lasts longer than 2 hours. You can do a couple seasons of that.
You can't do that in 2017.
No.
Escape from Detroit would be a reality show.
That's good. Yeah.
All right, but no.
But there's I'm sorry.
I saw that movie. It was called 8 Mile.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is the graphic novels he's going to adapt? Do you know?
Halloween Night is one of them.
Okay.
Another one I can't really. God dang it. I had it bookmarked, and I'm not seeing it here.
But they're based on graphic novels, comic book type stuff.
Yeah.
Pulpy type.
Trouble in Little China. Same dude that brought us Escape from New York. Same dude that brought us The Thing.
Yes.
Is now going to bring us various television.
And he did a lot of the music for those too. You remember, like the opening theme for Escape from New York was so good, and he did that himself. You know what I mean? And probably a little like keyboard in his room.
Herb, can you find that? Can you cue it up now? Herb is actually on.
Herb actually just left.
Thanks for announcing that. While we're live. No, it's all good. We were talking about that theme like a bunch of weeks ago because I got it stuck in my head.
It's so good.
For days, yeah. It's decent.
Yeah. We're talking about the theme for Escape from New York, if you can find it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But, and also for a movie with Isaac Hayes, not that much funk.
not a lot.
I mean, there's a car with a chandelier in it. I don't know what you want people.
Okay, true. No. Style was very funky. Don't get me wrong. Let's keep the compartmentalized.
I'm just saying. I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but it makes sense.
The style was on point. The sounds were off.
It makes sense for a lot of. I think a lot of film people are going to TV because right now I think everybody's talking about this is like the golden age of television. This is like peak TV, and people are saying that because it's gotten more cinematic in a way that it's being filmed kind of like a movie is. You know what I mean? It's more attention to actually like composition and scenes and like the single shots opposed to like just getting from point A to point B, which a lot of TV was. Yeah. And so I think a lot of film directors are going to that medium, one, because it has all the money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not just HBO doing like the quality television, but a lot of the normal networks are doing that. Yeah. Showtime, like even Netflix and all this. That's where the money is. So a lot of they're attracting a lot of people.
Right there, the advent of Netflix pretty much breathed new life.
Well,
into
I mean,
the whole releasing a whole series all at once. It's really changing the way people are watching shows.
And David Fincher directed the first few episodes of what was it? House of Cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was an executive producer for that. He directed the first few episodes of House of Cards. Yeah. Right, but that's it. So a lot of the guys are leaving. Martin Scorsese did stuff with for Vinyl. He was the executive producer of that. So it's and I mentioned before we went on air, The Nick. You remember The Nick? It's Steven Soderbergh.
It's good
thing. It's The Nick. It's about like surgeons basically way early days of surgery. So it's Clive Owen's in it. It's a great show, but that's as close to being like a movie in terms of the way it's shot, the way everything is filmed and set up. Mm-hmm. It's really, really, really cinematic television. So
we have The Nick and The Nick.
Yeah, those are two extremely different shows.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay.
But the Wachowskis, they've done it too. They did, Sense8? Yep. So,
which is actually finally, quick Sense8 news. It's getting a conclusionary
conclusion,
movie.
yeah.
It's getting a 2-hour movie to conclude it.
Right, because they pulled that and a lot of fans got worked up over not giving it a proper send-off. And so they're bringing it back to do like a proper 2-hour conclusion to this thing.
I was actually ready to be against this, but you all are making a lot of solid points.
Yeah.
That scream maybe maybe television is a better place.
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann did it with the Get Down.
Yeah, which also was very prematurely canceled. I think that was one of Netflix's best shows.
I think so too. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be the place to go. Obviously, they're getting paid really well, but they have more freedom now to do what they want. They're not like confined by the limits of TV because TV has grown into something different. It's not just like the normal sitcom. You're doing an episode of Friends, the last 30 minutes, you got to have 3 jokes per page. This is like something you can build a story and actually see it through to the conclusion through a whole series and tell like that one single story. Like if you look at like Fargo has done, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they've done, it's a series, but it's done it in 2 different ways. You know what I mean? So it's each a different case, kind of like True Detective. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? TV's just changing, and it's gonna get the best names to people to direct it. So it's only making sense they're going to people like Martin Scorsese, Jane Campion. All these people are coming to TV. So I think it's great. I think it's great. I mean, I'm not a huge TV watcher, but this is making me pay attention for sure.
All right. Well, the one thing that really I want to jump out in my antagonist point was people like Robert Zemeckis being tapped to do the Jetsons live action adaptation.
Yes.
And that stems to a larger problem in television production that's been just perpetuating for years that I thought, now you posed a lot of good points, that maybe to the, to the opposite of this, which is actually turning my opinion around. I'm very, very well done. Nicely done. But a lot of shows get caught in limbo and then they just keep trying to force the same ideas over again. Like we in this room know the Jetsons. Yeah. Except maybe Johnny, because he's 14. But the rest of us...
Meet George Jetson.
Okay, all right. He is aware. But because we're of that generation, not of the original generation from the Jetsons, but when they tried to do the first rehash and they brought it back in the 80s, and it was a terrible, terrible show.
Remember the Flintstones and Meet the Jetsons? Was that what it was?
I remember it sucked. But this is a show that has not been on the air for over a decade. You know, my little brothers, I think, may have vague ideas of what the Jetsons are, and they're in their early 20s. So with the audiences that this would jibe with are completely oblivious to it.
Right, it might be too far gone of a thing to have people really invested in.
And they've been trying to make this show since 2003. It's one of those things they just won't let go, and that's the point I was trying to get at. They're going to bring these people in, and by they I mean just the general studios, primarily ABC, NBC, CBS, the ones that are notorious for doing this, not just some obtuse, they are looking at what you're porn, something like that. But they're going to bring these people in with no game plan. So it sounds like the ones that go to Netflix, that go to Hulu and release full series and such, they have an actual idea that they're making and they're using it for independent productions. That's cool. What I'm afraid is we're also going to get an influx of several of these shows that have been sitting on the bench for for studios to market for some reason or other. Maybe it's not action figures now because we're adults, but maybe it'll be, hey, we got a whole line of T-shirts. We're building a new ride at Six Flags. We got just a buttload of commercials we want to cram in here. Hey, they drink, rock cola, Cactus Cooler on the Flintstones. On live action Flintstones, you can buy the stuff for real. It's made by Budweiser, who we just happen to have a cross promotion with. Stuff like that, it'll cheapen everything, the medium, and remove any kind of credibility from these cats who were decent filmmakers because they're going for the quick buck. You know?
No, that's true. I think that's probably going to be the case for a lot of things. It seems like the Jetsons is ripe for reimagining. You know what I mean? I just think it's not something that I would particularly want to see. I'm not really defending it that way, but I'm saying it's something that I make sense of, especially with Robert Zemeckis doing it, because that guy's done a lot of the animation that looks like real life stuff like that. So the technology, I think, is there to do it now. And it's already an existing property that's proven to sell. I think that if they reintroduce it the right way, it would make sense. But I know what you're saying with bringing things in and just beating it to death. You know what I mean? Maybe it's probably a bad thing. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it will fail, but.
Maybe it's just the new generation, man. Maybe I'm just too much of an old fogey.
It could be. It could be we both are, and that's what we're doing. We're just sitting here like, two Muppets in the balcony, like, I don't know anymore. Yes, it could be it, but...
Hey, get a job!
But yeah, man, I don't know. TV is becoming it's legit now. It's funny, because I remember when I was a kid, TV was bad for you. You know what I mean? And now everyone's like, it's super legit. It's great. Dude, it's an art form now. You got to be watching this.
I didn't listen when they said, don't sit too close to the TV. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You're like Jim Carrey from The Cable Guy. Just sat in front of the thing like that. And that you watch them racing.
If anyone can see on the camera, just observe real quick right there. That's me touching my eyeball.
It's so desensitized that you can actually poke Pat in the eyeball. And he won't feel it.
No, I have to wear special contacts because my eyes actually warped over time.
Really?
Yes.
For being too close to the TV?
For being too close to the TV.
Wow.
My left eye especially. Like, without the contact in this one, I'm blind.
You could be like Tiny Zeus Lister with those eyes.
Oh, don't say that. That's messed up. All right. Now, Johnny and Mix, y'all are awfully quiet over there.
I mean...
No, we know what Mix thinks. I don't need to hear. I don't need to hear their thoughts. Enough.
Fine.
Johnny. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, I kind of already gave my thoughts on this subject when I was kind of chiming in earlier that I feel like the way things are kind of moving these days with different types of programs and different types of offerings, that we don't have to have the same people doing stuff forever.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter, so I'm just hoping that what he does has a nice hard R to it. Like, it gets like a...
Well, that's the other thing. Goes to what other people are
Netflix
saying, though.
Budget. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It goes back to what other people are saying with the different types of genres being offered. Many of the stuff like a Showtime, HBO, etc., have hard R-related material these days, and especially something like Netflix as well. So it's not like...
Well, these things are being targeted towards ABC.
Well, even so, I mean, don't forget, Hannibal ran on standard television.
Yeah, but so did Constantine. So did Hellboy.
I know. And going back to my favorite boy, who we'll talk about more later... That's where it comes down to, and that's kind of what Johnny's expressing, though. Like, you don't want a Constantine, you want a Hannibal. You don't want it to veer toward Saturday morning John Carpenter. You want it to be that kind of. My mind said pithy bloodlust, but then I guess I already said it out loud.
There's so much good TV now that I just can't keep up anyway. Everyone I
I feel overwhelmed.
Into is always like. oh, you got to check out this show. And it's like, you're right. It's probably great. I do not have enough time. There's actually just literally is not enough time
You know what's really
to
accurate?
consume all this art. You know what I
There's
mean?
that commercial now where the guy goes everywhere and people are recommending different shows. He goes
Yes.
to the grocery store and the large bearded guy is recommending he watch Vikings. He goes to the DMV and the weird woman with the 1,000-mile stare is recommending Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so much good stuff. A friend of mine actually sat me down and made me watch the first episode of the show Billions, which is on Showtime,
Have
and
not
with
seen
Paul
it.
Giamatti's in it, and it's so good. And now
I've
I'm
never
like,
seen
okay,
it.
now I got to watch that.
Mhm.
But that's another thing you just add to the queue. It's just like, okay,
That's
that's
funny you brought
only-
up Vikings. That's
that's
been on
only-
my queue for a couple years now, and I know I'm gonna love it, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah, there's like 175 hours right there in front of me, and there's no possible way to consume it all. So it's just like, I think we're getting to a point where it's just there's too much of a good thing. Is like it's I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's just it's not a possible thing that everyone can sit there and watch. You know what I mean? It's like when you used to have like a single show and it was good, everybody tuned in. You know what I mean? How many people tuned into the last episode of MASH? Like
Yeah,
40
The
million
Simpsons,
people.
The
You know what I
Cosby
mean?
Show,
Something like that.
Seinfeld.
Right.
Of all things,
Your next
Seinfeld.
episode of
Millions
Seinfeld.
upon millions of people, and like these shows deserve that type of audience, but it's just not possible because there's just so much quality out there now, and it's like it's a weird thing to make an argument
the
saying
audience
that
is
it's
thin
too
out, yeah.
it's difficult because there's so much
7
good
people
stuff.
watch Orange is the New Black, and it's one of the
Yeah.
most popular shows.
Right, and exactly, it's just like it's weird. It's like, oh, there's too much good stuff out there, no one's watching it. It's like it's true though, you know. It's like I can't
but
pay attention to
I look
everything.
at it like the wasteland of comic books. You know, things that are great may still fall into the ether, and you'll discover them down the line eventually. Hopefully, if you're lucky, that's
Right.
just how it is. But there
Yeah,
are
I
worse
get to, like,
problems
The
to have
Wire
than
later,
having
you know
too
what I
much
mean?
good material.
Yeah.
You know, and you finally got to The Wire.
I mean, not
Finally got to The Wire.
years ago, but I was like 4 or
Okay,
5
all
years
right,
late. You know what I mean? It was just like sometimes you don't catch everything right
I
away.
feel like
It's-
my constantly giving you stuff about that had a little something to do with it.
Probably a little bit.
All right.
Oh.
All right. I keep recommending Mix watch this show, Firefly, and they keep rejecting me. I don't know why.
You think I haven't seen Firefly?
I'm messing with you.
Don't
I'm
do
messing
this to
with
me,
all.
I
buddy.
think that was a joke. But
Messing with
Don't
all.
do this to me, buddy.
Okay. All right. Well,
Fire
if
who?
you guys have anything to chime in and say
Josh
on this
Wonton?
subject, Josh.
What's his name? Josh
no.
Won?
No,
Josh
no,
Josh
no,
Wonton? That's
Wonton.
the-
No. Jed Wesley.
Jed,
I think it is.
that's the guy from Roadhouse, right?
No. The guy from
We are
from,
falling down a pit, guys.
from
We are
Star
plummeting into
Wars.
this nerd
From
chasm.
Star Wars, who ran for president with his brother.
Yeah, it's a trap. I'm sorry.
Shut it down.
So
Shut
you're
it
Shut
down.
it
saying wrong
down. Shut it
things.
down.
Shut it down.
Herb is over there just with the Arthur fist. Just
We need like an air. We just need like an air horn noise when we go too far. Pew 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 pew.
Too many
Yeah.
references no one understands.
Yeah,
all right.
Herb. Next time, I want you to go full morning zoo on us. That's what's going on. Yeah. All right, but if you have anything to say on this subject, you have an opinion on filmmakers, whether or not they make better TV producers or not, hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com. Or if you're not watching us on twitch.tv/thegeekdown, you should be. Check us on, and you can actually chat with us live during the show. Let us know how right I am. Let us know how wrong Mix is. Let us know what Adam
I mean, that's
should really
probable.
consider growing out the dreadlocks. Man. I'm telling you, it's a good look. You
I
can
got
pull
the
it off.
stash going. This feels pretty good.
You're getting there, yeah.
It's getting
A
there.
little bit more scruff. You know, I'd say we all look at extra manly if Herb was in the room just showing us all up.
You're right.
There's this dude, man. All right, but dude, I got to check out a comic called
Right.
The Sapphire Spectre.
Based on it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
stop.
abandon that joke.
Let it go,
For
man.
good
Let it
now.
go. But no, it's an independent comic by J.T. Malloy.
Mm.
I don't really know what to say about this. It's an indie comic, and that carries certain, not tropes, just certain characteristics you'd expect from an indie comic. You know, looser artwork, maybe drawn out story or something that kind of drags. And this met all of that criteria. It wasn't a bad book. I'm gonna come out and say right now, it was actually a decent read.
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend anyone jump right out and pick it up right away. If you're into I don't know, like supernatural fare and more of the punk scene, this
Okay.
would be a book that would be, you know, have in the collection somewhere. You know, you got a few
Gotcha.
extra minutes. You know, you ran out of things to read on the toilet. Keep it by the keep it in the magazine rack.
Perfect.
You know, and check it out. It's a story of a young woman, Sylvia, who's killed at one point by an evil spirit. But because she's
Bummer.
killed, it sucks when that happens, right?
Boo.
Mix has a lot of experience with this.
Relatable.
But due to the circumstances in which she was killed, she's actually able to come back to life and then
And what
die again
circumstances
at
were
will.
those? What
Well, she
circumstances?
was killed by an evil demon.
Okay.
That's not like I was hit by a bus.
No, you don't come back after that.
Yeah. Or if you unless you were hit by a bus being driven by a demon, but then it would suck.
Look, we've all seen that Robert Downey Jr. movie, okay?
With the
Heart and
I-
Soul.
Heart and Soul, where the five guys are going around.
Stop it!
fighting.
Of all things I've gone out of my way to forget,
Heart and Souls. Wow, that's a reference for.
shame on all you.
This is why we're on this show.
Actually, this would be more along the lines of like flatliners, people being able to die and come back at will.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, there's no scientific process here. She just has this ability now, and when she dies by choice, she turns into a ghost, a specter, which she uses to, I guess, solve crimes.
So it's almost like a
solve...
superpower, dying and then turning into something else.
Yes,
And
but
then you
unlike
can do things
Resurrection
that you're not
Man,
able
she
to.
doesn't come back to life with a new power. She only has the power when she's dead. Yeah.
Wow.
And this issue, I'll be honest, kind of boring when she's alive. It's a lot of exposition, and I
Just
see
die
what they're
already.
trying
Is
to
that
do.
what you're saying?
Now I see what they're trying to do. This is, for lack of a better term, a reboot of an older series. Not even an older series. I think there was only a few issues released in the original run, but it was popular enough that some fans made a very short film of it.
Okay.
It's available on YouTube. It's very badly acted, but it captures the essence.
Like a lot of good YouTube movies that I've checked
Hey,
out.
not everything. I remember when I saw years ago Grayson. That was badass. It was a story
Really?
of the grown-up Robin before there was a grown-up Robin besides Red Robin in the comics. Yeah. So before you had the Red Hood and Jason Todd came back to life and all that dumbness.
I got
It
you.
was a pretty badass YouTube movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go dig that up then.
Well, that was before the days of PewDiePie as well, when YouTube actually had interesting stuff.
yeah, screw you,
Lucas-
PewDiePie.
Nah,
Like
leave
the
that FMV alone. He's not-
Lobo paramilitary Christmas special.
You saw that? Oh, it was dope. It's Lobo, and this dude is like, I'm sorry, we'll get.
Sorry, guys, but
Yeah,
it's
it's a
if you
little
want to
off.
see something great, it's a Lobo paramilitary Christmas special. It's very early YouTube video.
Does he save Christmas or does
No, he does not save Christmas.
It's a good one. All right, but the book is called The Sapphire Spectre. It's a one-off, even though they imply it's supposed to be like a larger, a part of a larger story. You can tell this one is an indie. They're probably going to be looking for a little more support to expand. The indie short film is out there. The book is out there. I'd recommend checking it out if you're into these kind of things. And it did pick up once she died and went into ghost form.
Okay.
The book isn't too long, so don't expect a whole long read. Not reading this on a road trip, but it's a good quick one if you just want to check out some quick supernatural fare and maybe consider following the cats on YouTube, on YouTube, on Twitter, picking up the book down the line, etc.
Okay.
All right, so it's it's the
Sapphire
Spectre. Thank you, by J.T. Malloy.
I got you.
All right, so now I have hogged the mic enough. I want to hear the lowdown on this new survival horror hotness.
She's
that's been
chomping at the
Harry.
bit.
All right. I have to preface this review, guys, for everyone out there in radio.
Dead by
land.
Daylight. Tell us about it.
I don't like survival games. I
They
don't
love 'em.
like horror games, and I don't like multiplayer games of this nature.
Explain this tattoo
all of
you've
this-
got.
Sound like the kid from The Lost Boys.
Oh.
I don't like horror comics.
Yep. All of this put together, Pat antagonized me by being like, "All right, just play it."
You were
And
bullied into
I
this game.
did not.
Yes, he did.
Hold on a
he
second.
came over
I
to my
sent
house.
you the
He
trailer.
hit me with a stick.
This is not true.
And he said I had to
I'm
play
gonna
this
get
game,
swatted.
guys.
Stop
Do
it.
it.
No, but here's the thing. All right, here's
Do
the thing.
it.
I'm prefacing with this as someone that this game is not my cup of tea. This is not the kind of game that I seek out to play.
Right.
That being said, it's a really well-crafted game if this is your jam. So the basic breakdown of the game is that there are two types of play. It's a multiplayer game. I think it's up to 5 people. Don't quote me on that. I think I tended to get like 3 in a group. But you either play as a survivor or as a killer. And when you play as a survivor, it's a regular overhead view. You play the game, and your goal is to kind of escape the room kind of challenge. You and the other survivors have to escape from a killer, The basic plot is that there's this thing called the Entity, which has like pulled
The Entity.
horrible serial killers out of reality and pulled victims out of reality into this kind of like horrorscape
It pulls you
of
out
like a
reality.
almost video game universe, essentially.
In this video game
So the
universe.
killers are coming after the survivors.
They're coming to get you.
I'm gonna smack you, man. I'm gonna hit you with a stick, make
I
you
love it
review the
too.
game.
No, it's your
And then you basically the killer's coming after them, and the killer's like puts you up on a meat hook. It's horrible.
Oh,
And then
like,
the entity comes to like get you if you're up on the meat hook.
Texas Chainsaw
And
style.
there's a lot of references to classic games
You said that
and
from the beginning.
classic
Okay, I wanna know what's
movies.
going on.
Like
There's
Friday
actually
the 13th.
yeah, well, there's a DLC that you can get Jason
Oh, come
in
on.
the game,
Yeah.
which I obviously did not get. I just played the regular game, though
He's
I
the
am
most
bummed.
charismatic of the
So
serial
here's the
killers,
thing,
I
though.
think.
This just made me extremely
On the
happy.
survivor end of the game, I will be honest, this is not the game for me. I don't like jump scares. I don't like
Ah.
spooky noises from the corner of the screen. I don't like the gameplay aspect. You have to like repair a bunch of generators to get the door open so that you can escape. And repairing the generator makes a lot of noise,
Sounds like
and the
work.
killer can come
Yeah.
find you. This is just, it was very spooky. But if you like that kind of ambiance and that, like, you know, heart
I couldn't play
thumping
Silent Hill.
race against the yeah,
Yeah,
see,
that's-
Silent Hill messed me up. Silent Hill
I just couldn't
4,
do it.
I am still messed up from Silent Hill 4, guys.
Yeah, I couldn't do
Like,
it.
this is just not my jam.
Okay,
But
how serious was
I-
the survival horror? Are we talking? Are we
yeah,
talking
no,
Resident
this
Evil
is
Silent
legit.
Hill, or are
This
we
is
talking
this
like,
is spooky.
Dead
It's
Rising?
real spooky.
I get it.
It's
I wouldn't like it
real
either.
spooky.
Okay.
You know what I
But
mean? I'm
here's
not
the
that
thing.
tough.
I enjoyed it from the two things from the killer perspective, though.
Mhm.
So much more so than the more kind of cooperative multiplayer mode. The killer mode, you play first person and you choose one of the many killers that they have. My favorite was the one called the Hillbilly.
Naturally.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
And you try and kill everyone. And first things that you do is you try to grab everybody and put them on the meat hook, because that's kind of all you can do. You basically level up. You earn points essentially.
You level up from meat hook to
And
other-
no, but then you can use your kind
How
of
to get 'em on the
special
hook.
actions.
Oh,
So there's one
gotcha.
that's like the trapper, and then there's like the hillbilly, and the hillbilly has a chainsaw, which is
Are
awesome.
there differences in these units, or was it all just like aesthetic?
No. Everything that they can do is different, because everything that they can do is different. For example, like I said, there's the trapper that's kind of like a hunter-trapper kind of guy, and then there's the hillbilly. Something I later found out that I'm bummed I didn't have the DLC. There's one character called the hag. I'm always here for a good hag.
Yeah.
But I found that the gameplay was really interesting, especially if you are a big fan of that genre. There were a lot of nods to classic horror elements, that kind of like heavy breathing, it's
Yeah.
coming, And the collaborative effort of it being a multiplayer game on the survivor side is
game with
pretty
asthma.
cool. I just personally, when I play a game, I don't love relying too much on other people, which is why the only
Right.
multiplayer game I play is Lord of the Rings Online. But I prefaced my stuff partly to be funny, but partly truthfully. For someone who is not the targeted audience of this game, that would not typically pick up this game,
Mhm.
it made for some interesting gameplay. And one of the elements I really enjoyed is, forgive me, I'm blanking on the name of the system, but when you go to take an action, you essentially like roll for initiative. Like there's a little spinner needle that pops up, and you have to kind of tap your mouse or tap the space bar,
Okay.
and it kind of dictates how successful you are. You kind of throw, you
Well,
roll.
it's gambling addiction
and it's-
style.
Well, much more D&D, but like it's
Like a skill check.
a skill check. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. So it's really an innovative thing for a survival horror game, that not only are you trying to escape things, but like, you want to take down, as I mentioned, one of the things you can do is destroy the hooks on the walls. If you take down all the hooks, they have to be repaired, and then the entity can't come get you, and it gives you more time to go and work on the generators. But tearing down the hooks, if you fail at this, it clatters to the ground and makes a really loud noise, and the killer finds you right away. So there's lots of different nuances to it on both ends that did make for a very interesting gameplay. And again, I only preface it as not my jam, because if it was, I'm sure I'd be crazy
Right,
into it. The
right.
fact that it grabbed me at all, as someone that like really isn't
So
here for
someone
this
who'd be
genre,
into this would really
love it. I think
okay.
the very smooth gameplay. I played it off Steam. I thought it was excellent. I know it's available, I think, on Xbox and PS4 now. And I thought that it was a really beautiful game. A weird thing to say about a horror game, but just looked great.
Right.
Yeah, those decapitated heads, man.
Oh, man.
No, but it had a really smooth look to it. It didn't try to be too heavily stylized. Like one of the
Right.
settings, for example, in like the hillbilly zone, if you will, is like a spooky farm. and it just you can kind of clearly see where you are, but there's not too much going on. Or like one of the areas is kind of like a garage with like boxes everywhere, and different types of things, and you at once feel that claustrophobic spookiness to the game, but it doesn't feel like each area is set up in that like it's GoldenEye all over again. Here you are, run around in your tunnels and climb these stairs. Like it definitely felt more natural to it. So I would definitely recommend this game if somebody's like really into horror survival games or this sort of like multiplayer.
Which isn't me either, because like I said, I'm not a tough guy.
Yeah, I can get down with those though. Everything.
Yeah, for someone with the word macabre in my name, I got this from Elvira's Midnight Movie Macabre, guys. Like, I want to see Werewolf Goes to Washington. I'm not here for Howling 3.
I couldn't play Jaws on Nintendo.
Oh, with that weak ass, like,
I was scared
quote
of
unquote
Jaws.
3D shark.
Yeah, that was the scariest thing ever. The movie and the game.
No. The Nightmare Creatures was a scary game because everything was like dark and then poorly animated.
Yeah.
Jaws, come on, man.
I am ashamed.
Friday 13th, the
game?
NES game, yeah.
No, because
it
was
was scary.
Like, no, it was like these weird panels. It may as well have been like a text adventure. And then suddenly, hey, what do you see there? It's Jason's mother, but it's not Jason's mother. It's actually, it's
like he hops out of nowhere. The music goes dun dun dun.
Dumbass game.
Yeah, but see, like that's
great.
That's something that I felt.
That's a scary game.
On a fun note for Dead by Daylight, it had that kind of
it was like
the competitive factor. Well, the competitive factor to it made it more fun. That if it was just like something jumped out at me,
it's gonna be scary.
Something's coming to get me. Like it was really an intriguing take on it. Again, though, I don't have much of a basis of comparison as my video gaming veers toward I really enjoy the game where you poop on people.
Yes, and the cat game.
Yeah.
Too.
That's where your reviews are.
Almost nothing is going to be as good as the game that you're just cat paws knocking things off shelves. That is so up my alley.
What if it's cat paws with bloody boobs all over it?
I mean, I'm here for that.
Well,
I go to anime cons, man. Don't judge me.
Here if you need me. Yeah.
Am I the only one that remembers the game where you're sexting a 12-year-old? This was
Cat?
this was at the Fig.
Is it called To Catch a Predator?
What
are we like? Where are we going with this, buddy? Do you want to have a seat over there? Like
you play another middle schooler. You're IMing a person of the opposite sex. You're trying to persuade into a romantic encounter.
I have no memory of this ever existing.
We reviewed it on this show. It was.
Oh, is this the one from Fig?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't remember that. I don't think you were.
That's a game.
You were very young. I remember that.
Pat, I don't think you were.
You were inappropriately young. I
don't know
remember that much.
This isn't the AOL one.
Yeah, AOL, not sexting, not text. Yes.
Oh, that's Amy's Away or Emily's Away.
Emily's Away.
I mean,
Emily's
it wasn't.
Emily's Away. That sounds like a video I watched when I was 12.
Not as sketchy as you're making it out to be, Pat.
That was like a high school, college.
College. No way,
like
man.
high school, college.
No, it's definitely like high school, college. Because I remember when you're playing it, they're like, "Meet me after class at the such and such." You don't do that.
12-year-olds go to class.
I talked to the developer. He didn't seem that pervy.
Yeah, no, I think we're having different views on this game, Pat.
Okay, all right.
You're
there's no 12-year-olds being sexted. I think you can say that much.
Your
honest mistake.
Pat was playing the shorter version.
Honest mistake on his part. It's fine.
It was the VR version.
Emily's Away, though.
So anyway, Dead by Daylight. Check it out on Steam.
And don't get the reach around
Xbox
DLC. Is that what
or PS4, so that you can murder your friends or randos.
On
if you
happier
don't
note,
have
Dead
any
by Daylight's
friends.
actually a winner.
Again, as someone who is not a fan of the genre, I found the gameplay smooth and enjoyable. Very easy to pick up and follow. I was a little worried that it would be a little overwhelming to me because there's a lot of different like skills to it. You have to kind of memorize different, like you kind of earn skill points. There's a thing called the blood web, and you get more points to use your blood points to kind of level up your character. But it was all very straightforward. I mean, it has goofy names, but that's what this genre is all about. So pretty fun. And get the DLC so you can play as a hag. That's my recommendation.
All right.
That seems offensive to hags everywhere.
I mean,
there's never enough hags in video games.
Never enough hags in video games, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Video games
There's
are
certainly
sexist.
a hag shortage.
There needs to be
I think
more hags
you
and
sold
female
Black
killers.
All right. So
fun.
so on the subject of a genre you do
Anime cons?
follow. Yes,
Speaking of
indeed.
Shota, no.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah,
hag.
I'm kidding,
That's one of my
guys.
favorite insults from the movie Willow. At the end,
Yes.
you stupid hag.
Yes.
And then it's so good. I don't
It's a
know.
unique insult, man.
It
You should-
is. It's just he delivers it with such passion.
That goes
and
right. That goes right into talking about cons because one of my dream cosplays. Because apparently everything for those who either can't see me in full or don't know what I look like, I am 5'2".
And if you can't see,
And,
you should be watching on twitch.tv/the Geek Down.
Perfect. And for some reason, I'm very obsessed with cosplaying as male characters over 6 feet tall. So one of my dream cosplays is Mad Mardigan.
Oh my god, he's the best.
I know. I really want to be Mad. I want to go to a con as Mad Mardigan so bad.
We know several people who walk on stilts. Like we can.
Well, because there's a scene in the movie where he's like he was dressed as a woman, and then
That's what I want to cosplay.
So he's got like half women's pink pants
and
on,
he has this horrible
with a
dress
cape over the top of him too, and he's walking.
With
so
big fake
boots. Well, it looks like I got you here. Got us here. All you do is hang around and eat our eggs, huh? It's so perfect, Kevin Pollak. Sorry. Anyway, that's
no, it's all good. Okay, so tell us about ConnectiCon.
All right, so I went to ConnectiCon this weekend, and for those who don't remember from last year was a special held called LineCon, where they had all these old people with sausage fingers using iPads to do the check-in and do the registration. And I want to give a shout out to ConnectiCon that registration this year was mostly better. There was a kerfluffle this year that they had no lanyards.
A confetti?
There was a huge confetti this year that there were no lanyards. They ran out on Thursday, and then Friday the convention was, I think, an hour to 2 hour delayed opening because of this whole thing about these lanyards. But otherwise, everything seemed to run pretty smoothly. I'll get the bummers out of the way fast. So ConnectiCon shuts down at 9 as of last year. And it's just a little weird that the con itself shuts down at 9, which is real early. But something they picked up on this year is they had off-site paneling past 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Gotta give a shout out to the guys at NerdFit. They did a panel Friday night, Dungeons and Drinking, which was held at the movie theater across the street, which was just them drinking on stage, rolling and doing a campaign, a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, as they got more and more drunk.
Was it compelling in any way?
Yes. It was really funny.
On paper, that sounds awful, but I could see
how
that
was one of the funniest things I have ever seen.
Fill my drink up.
It was so funny. They had ridiculous characters. Eric kept trying to escape the dungeon and go to Arby's. There was one player named Roxy, and she was playing a very large, I think a giant of some kind named Arnold, who of course was a beautiful woman, obviously, and just really funny gameplay. One character kept trying to have sex with all of the different monsters, and then of course he kept rolling natural 20s when trying to mount the monsters, so the DM was going insane, like fine I guess, can I roll for dick size? And so, we were rolling on the floor funny. So huge shout out to ConnectiCon for having this offsite
I get
panel.
rear miniature.
Yeah.
No, that just sounds like how I play. I don't see anything.
But it sounds like a live action riff track. So
it pretty much was. And there were other paneling. I didn't attend a lot of them because I was with friends and doing stuff, but there was other stuff offsite as well. There was cosplay burlesque, which I've actually had the pleasure of performing with at ConnectiCon many years ago. So they were offsite. There was I know there was a late night cosplay dating game. So they had.
And how were the turnouts for these?
And the event that I went to, the Dungeons and Drinking one, had a good 100 people there, I'd say. And the one before that, there was like an improv one, some sort of cosplay improv. I caught the last 10 minutes of it or so, and that room was packed. I know cosplay burlesque were turning people away.
No.
So the offsite stuff, the dance, for example, ConnectiCon, much like Anime Boston, no longer has an on-site dance due to the shenanigans of children ruining it for everyone. And I gotta say though, my friends attended the party. There was an offsite 18+ party, and they said it was pretty good. It's silly like any Anime Con dance, but the fact that ConnectiCon kind of stepped up in reaching out to these non-convention center areas, because keep in mind this is not ConnectiCon itself trying to shut down at 9. It's the convention center saying we're done at 9. So kudos to ConnectiCon seeing and utilizing the Hartford area to enrich this convention. I feel like it had much more life in it in the evenings, especially than it did last year.
Of course, it's Connecticut. I mean,
they
bring the life. It's
they had
much
some
Pleasantville, the other
awesome celebrity guests this year. There was the voice of Amethyst from Steven Universe. Sylvester McCoy was there, which is super cool.
No Garnet though.
No Garnet, sadly. She's busy, I think, being a multi-platinum touring recording artist.
I'm sorry, look, Estelle's sexy.
I know, she's amazing. I still can't believe that she's a voice in a children's cartoon show. But really great cosplay stuff this year. They really stepped up their game room. The game room was exceptional this year. It even had the table flipping
Nintendo
game.
And Sega.
No, but it had a whole what is it called when you have something
3DO.
in the box when you're playing the game? What is it? Cabinet. See, I knew I'd get there. They had game cabinets.
I thought you were going to say monkey in the middle.
No, right? No,
like,
they had gaming cabinets. They had gaming cabinets of Street Fighter 2. They had all these great console games. They had, Rock Band. They had huge amounts of DDR. They had poppin' music. They had the drum game where you hit the drums with the big sticks. I can't remember that one, but really exceptional. One of the best video game rooms I've been to at an AnimeCon in years, and I'm really excited that they stepped up.
Being stuck there for
downside.
the
they had karaoke in a hallway in the main room, so you'd be like minding your business, doing moving from panel to panel or going somewhere, and someone singing what's going on as loud from Four Non-Blondes as loud as they can off key.
Yeah. What's the greatest karaoke song, by the way? I think "Wicked Game" by Chris Isaak.
I appreciated though that unlike places like Anime Boston, ConnectiCon had no restrictions where you had to karaoke video game or anime music. So there was some funny stuff being sung. I'm pretty sure Africa was sung like 20 times.
I'm saying Wicked Game by Chris Isaak is the greatest karaoke song.
Next time you're at ConnectiCon, give it a go.
No. Wanna fall in love.
Oh, I know that song.
Chris Isaak.
No.
Wicked Game.
No.
If you can do that straight face and get through the whole song, that brings the house down.
But it was really good.
I'm never gonna dance again.
That's a good
Guilty feeling,
got no rhythm.
Oh my God.
So it's easy to pretend. Her, back me up. No, I'm not a fool.
Nah, he says.
Should've known better than to cheat a friend.
Johnny, take it.
Yo.
Anyway, so ConnectiCon overall, real good. Highlights for me, personal highlights for me. I had an Overwatch themed punk Overwatch group where my friends and I just made punk Overwatch characters. We all made matching vests. It was phenomenal. We rolled up in like a squad. I had a great time. I finally cosplayed John Constantine, going back to being 6'2" characters.
We'll put those pictures up so people can see.
I have some pictures.
Contours.
Thank you. I did some major contour. I tried to find some Madoka cosplayers to make a contract with. I was unsuccessful. I did get a picture with a good Doctor Strange. Made sure he knew that he does a better job than me.
Nice.
You should have had a good Swamp Thing with you. That
sadly, I didn't have a Swamp Thing this time, but my girlfriend has volunteered to be a very small Swamp Thing next time. Inspired by my showing her Constantine's 40th birthday party, where, for those who don't know, Swamp Thing shows up to John Constantine's 40th birthday party, and his present is to make a bunch of weed grow real big.
All right.
Like you do. And overall,
grow my weed grow big.
Just
no, I think Herb just passed.
But yeah, ConnectiCon this year I think stepped up, and a highlight for me would be speaking with Virginia Hay, who, for those who don't know who that is, she was the warrior woman in Mad Max 2. I actually have a Mad Max themed burlesque show.
The older one at the end?
No, the warrior woman in Mad Max 2, the one wearing all white, from the 80s.
Yeah, she was real stank to maximal.
Well, something that I love about the warrior woman is actually George Miller said that originally that was a male character, and he said, nope, we need more women characters. Changed only the fact that it was a woman, changed no lines, changed no costuming, and she just was this awesome character, and she was super cool to talk with. And
she eats it at the end, though, too. So he's peeing.
But it was real cool. But like this Thursday in Cambridge at Oberon, I have Witness the Wasteland 2, Too Fast, Too Furiosa, which is a Mad Max themed burlesque show, and it was really cool to tell her that that's going on. And we actually have a really awesome local performer, Sammy Temper, who will be bringing that character to the stage. And she seemed very delighted and honored that we were doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that ought to be a good time.
I gotta imagine when you're making that movie too. You're like out in the desert. You got like football gear on. And you're like, this is in 30, 40 years. This is still going to be a giant thing, and people are going to.
You think it's going to be total camp? I know, it's amazing.
Right, and
here we are. This is our second show. We had one last year too.
Yeah. I remember a film teacher of mine at Suffolk. He saw Mad Max when it first came out. It was released here in Boston, like a small theater, and people were going nuts. It was like still a small thing. It wasn't obviously a big release. Yeah, and they were like, you got to see this movie, man. This movie from Australia. And there was like the kind of whispered around this word of mouth thing.
Well, Mad Max 1 was wild. There was really nothing like it at the time. That kind of true, almost
and the Road
all
Warriors, I think, is one of the greatest things ever.
post-apocalyptic movies
It's
really
the word of
owe
the
it
day,
all
kids.
to Mad Max.
Yeah,
Even going
absolutely.
back to Overwatch, the character of Junkrat and Roadhog are explicitly Mad Max based.
Right.
Now, Mad Max, I've seen tons of times. We've all seen tons
Yeah.
of times. Has anyone actually seen the documentary they were originally there to shoot?
No.
No, I have not. That's
Okay.
great though.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's how they made Mad Max. They were out there shooting a documentary about these supercars, and
It's like
they
the
just had-
Highlander documentary they kept making. That series, that documentary series on Highlander.
Oh, well,
Well, no, this is
All right,
what Pat's
well,
saying is that they were
yeah.
making something totally separate.
yes,
Right,
they were.
yeah. Yes, I
that
know,
red
yeah.
Mad Max. But going back to ConnectiCon real quick. In conclusion, seems like they're getting their stuff together. Last year was a little bit of a misstep for them, and they seem to have very much learned from that. And ConnectiCon now remains one of my favorite conventions. I think it's a very good size. There's some exceptional cosplays at ConnectiCon. And Hartford, the way it's set up, makes for an interesting con experience because there's both the convention hotel attached to the convention center, or I stay across town at a Hilton that's connected by the Dash shuttle. So you can really get to, I think, 5 or 6 different hotels very easily.
Right.
To
And,
get to the
and what's
con.
the size of this one as well?
I don't remember offhand, unfortunately,
But it's fairly large.
fairly
right?
large,
Yeah,
fairly large. Not
Yeah.
quite like a ConnectiCon that I think that's like
Right.
20,000, but
No,
like
it's
this
an
is
adequate
still
convention.
quite a large
Bigly.
convention.
Bigly
Quite a
adequate
large convention, getting better, and it has a very, very good mix and representation of both anime and science fiction fantasy. For those who don't remember, last year they had
Yeah.
Sean Astin, they had John Rice Davies, they had some really, really cool people
Sean
who show
Astin.
up. They had
Was he
George
in- as
Takei last
Encino Man?
year.
Yeah. Had Werner Herzog.
Hey, Encino Man.
Last year,
There it
Pat
is.
just kept saying Sean Astin from from what was it? Small
Sean Astin
Soldiers.
of Toy Soldiers
Soldiers
fame.
fame.
Oh my god.
And I was like, please stop.
Sean Astin's
stop.
done
Toy
awesome
Soldiers
movies.
fame? When they hug it out at
Awesome
the end
movies.
after they
Oh my
win?
god.
My favorite of all time though is Toy Soldiers.
did this
It's
for me
such a
for like a
badass
month.
I
movie.
liked
Why
it
is-
too.
Why has no one seen it? Have you seen it since?
I have.
Okay.
It's just,
Right up, right here.
But him trying to talk to Pauly Shore, like Pauly Shore, always really got me in Encino Man.
Okay, dude.
So yeah, go
The
to
reason
ConnectiCon.
off this gig.
I practiced that stupid dance they did in
Yeah.
Encino Man for like so long before I realized.
When
it's
he
just-
goes to her, what's
What?
this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this dance in front of my friends. How cool am I now?
What is
It's
what
like,
is it called?
invented the
Boobs in
two-step.
Encino Man. What was it that he called?
Gazongas.
Gazongas. Thank you. Oh, I was thinking
Gazongas.
Yabos are from Hocus Pocus.
Yes. Okay, real quick, go around the table. What's your favorite term?
Oh, for boobs? Oh, Yabos from Hocus Pocus. I have a Hocus Pocus tattoo. I gotta go with Yabos.
All right.
Gazongas. It's
Johnny?
easy.
No comment.
What? No
Johnny
comments.
is a
That's new one.
gentleman.
I've never heard them
Johnny
called
is
no
a-
comments.
I never-
That's
they brought
that
on.
that is
so quickly.
kinky, sir.
You brought it on so quickly, man.
All right,
You
all
need
right.
a couple
Can't cook
minutes.
it up the spot.
Herb, you
Herb.
don't have to make it up. Herb, do you have one?
What were we doing again?
Preferred term for breastises,
for-
You know
my
what?
friend.
Melons. I'm gonna go
Melons.
with melons.
Boob.
Okay,
Very
all right.
demure.
Boobs.
I myself prefer thing 1 and thing 2.
Oof.
All right, so it's ConnectiCon.
Yeah, I gotta say, truly, they seem to have listened to the feedback of the fans saying, there's not really enough to do in the evenings, and they stepped up both their 18 plus and 21 plus content, running things off site. When I say off site, we're talking, across the street, down the street, nothing
Right.
too far, and they definitely heard the attendees saying, "Look,
And then,
we want to enjoy
yeah.
this con late night. We understand we
That's
can't
all you
have
could really
things
ask
anymore."
for, isn't it? You know
They
what I mean?
did a
Saying
much
like,
better
this is
job.
what we are
Yep.
upset about. You can change it for next year, and actually putting in the
There was
effort
not a
to
5-hour
make
wait
sure-
to pick up badges, so
Yeah,
kudos
you
to you,
mentioned that last time.
ConnectiCon.
That
Got
was
it
pretty
together.
ridiculous.
Unfortunately, no Black Power Ranger launching himself over
we still want
I
to
think
table
that was the one to the
over a
lifetime
couch
event.
in the Marriott, but I have heard that he is one of the main guests of DerpyCon,
I
which
also
I
heard
am
he's sober
trying to
now.
get to.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, Derby or
Derpy
Derpy?
with a P.
This
I
is
think
a
it's in New
thing.
Jersey.
Yeah, of course.
I'm looking into it. I want to go.
Oh,
But
okay, yeah,
he,
that's right,
he
yeah.
and he and Billy, he and Blue Ranger are the main guests this year.
Him
Oh,
and the
no
Toxic
way.
Avenger will be there, and all
So
the
I'm
other New
trying to-
Jersey heroes. Yeah.
And
Chris
so-
Christie.
and somewhere Jason David Frank is actually patrolling the streets fighting crime.
Yeah, right. Oh, Vazmir.
All right.
Didn't
so,
one of them, real quick, didn't one of them almost get killed at a con recently? Wasn't that something like Arizona Comic Con? Someone was coming to kill a Green Ranger.
yeah,
Yes,
Jason David
probably.
Frank. They
Wasn't
were-
that real? Oh my
yeah, 'cause
god.
people are dumb.
Oh,
I
All
read
right,
the
but no-
headline. I didn't bother.
But not at
actually reading
ConnectiCon.
the-
not at
We have-
ConnectiCon.
not
Where
at-
where all, as far as we're aware, all guests have been
Yeah.
perfectly safe.
Yeah, you'll have a
Taken
good
care
time.
of,
You might
yeah.
see a drunk Power Ranger. You might even get to grab some chesticles, according to Mix Macabre.
Yes.
All
yes,
right,
I did.
so all right now with that prestigious lean in, man, I am so excited. We finally got not just the Spider-Man movie from Marvel.
But a twink.
Right.
Okay, for different reasons, I am
Okay,
extremely excited.
You're excited. Okay,
here.
I'm telling you why I haven't been, because the last two.
We're talking about Spider-Man: Homecoming, by the way.
Yes, not the Amazing Spider-Man, which the last reboot, and
which was okay, and then
what I stopped watching was when Spider-Man was doing skateboard tricks to a Coldplay song. Honestly, that's when it's not a knock on Coldplay, and it's not a knock on skateboarding. It's a knock on putting those together in front of on the screen and just looking at it and going, "This is happening."
No, you're right.
Now, and that's I gave up. I didn't see it.
Anyone who hasn't seen that, in the Amazing Spider-Man starring Andrew Garfield, they tried to remake Footloose for about 5 minutes.
They did, yeah.
They had a whole scene where he goes to this abandoned warehouse or hangar,
and he just starts, thing, but
he's dancing, he's skateboarding, and they've got like Coldplay in the background.
The Kingdom Come.
So they didn't learn from Spider-Man 3.
I was going to say, shout out to Spider-Man 3, emo dancing Spider-Man.
No,
How's the pie? So good.
We do not condone this.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time, guys.
And now we don't have to. The Spider-Man Homecoming, a movie that was actually by Marvel, starring Tom Holland, who this is his second run as Spider-Man. We saw him the first time in Captain America: Civil War.
Yep.
He had a brief but
stole
very
the scene
poignant
in that too, and
absolutely.
It was a perfect introduction to you know what I mean. It made him seem like a kid too.
I mean, real quick, no spoiler review of Spider-Man: Homecoming. Yes. My girlfriend is a Spider-Man cosplayer, and our review is that she got back to the hotel at the AnimeCon and immediately had to put on the Spider-Man costume and jump around in excitement because that's how much she loves Spider-Man.
That's the review right there.
She had to immediately be Spider-Man and do a backflip on the bed because it was so good that she had to just enjoy the Spider-Man-ness more.
Yes.
Yep. Now, just breaking down the movie real quick in itself, this is the story of Spider. First of all, they're not telling the origin story.
So good. Oh my God, guys, no origin story. Again, this is not really spoiler because you kind of know that from trailers. Yes, exactly. There's none of that like, oh, my Uncle Ben died. No, I'm seeing.
It's like Superman. I got bit by a spider once. I didn't need 5 hours to talk about it.
In a very, very quick at the very beginning intro, sort of the making of for the villain. Just very quick.
Well, that's another thing that I really, really good.
I like
you get a villain that is a person.
Yep.
You get, and this again, keeping it light, keeping it so people go out and enjoy. You get a villain that you understand why they're doing what they're doing more than just I'm evil. Like you get why this character is moving towards supervillainy and why this character has this specific clash with Spider-Man. And what it does is, more so I think than any previous Spider-Man movie, it starts building him a true rogues gallery.
Yeah, and unlike the first Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, all the villains, or I think most of the villains, became villains because just like how Spider-Man got his powers through an accident. And that's kind of
most of them. Let's not forget Bonesaw.
It's not like Batman and Robin.
Don't do this to me.
I fell on a plant.
Don't do this to me.
Okay. All
so
right.
I mean, like
Step into it. Sorry.
It was great in the fact that the new villain for this is not like by accident becomes a villain.
No, very
is it Michael Keaton too?
Yeah. Okay.
In his best role since Multiplicity.
Well, no, this was actually a very good role for him.
Michael Keaton's
really good.
I mean, what isn't he good in? But
Michael Keaton plays Adrian Toomes, also known as the Vulture. In this movie, they've rewritten his origin not to be the aging, I don't know, septuagenarian. He was an old guy, looking to find like a fountain of youth type thing through powers and genetics, but rather as a sympathetic figure who's working. Now, first of all, everything in this movie is a direct result of the events of the
Avengers.
The Attack on New York?
Yeah, the Battle of New York, as they call it in the Marvel universe.
Thank you. Yep. The Battle of New York from the first Avengers movie. So
seems like everyone's hung up on that thing. Who cares?
Well,
it's almost like
we all only 1 billion people died.
Only 1 billion people died, and we learned that aliens exist. But whatever.
So
and they had a little bit of Ultron in there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ultron
there's some Ultron references.
So,
this did a great job tying into other movies in a way that also didn't feel forced. There wasn't like, here's a clip from another movie. It felt very natural. Like it takes place in New York.
It was Avengers 1, 2, and Civil War.
It
all
makes
three
sense
of those got
that actions that took place in New York would be referenced, but they were done in a way that felt very natural to what the characters were doing.
And it helped set up the story, the background to
the whole
story.
film was very engaging. The pacing was also, I think, I want to take a note to discuss. Unlike the previous 2 movies with Garfield, who I felt was an okay Spider-Man and a meh Peter Parker.
Peter Parker was a tool.
This had both excellent Spider-Man-iness, if that makes sense, and the Peter Parker aspect was very like a kid, but a smart kid. Like something that you really get is, you know, Spider-Man at his core is a brilliant person.
I think it was because there wasn't a separation of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. It was the same person.
Yeah, and it felt
throughout.
that the pacing of the film in that way, I never felt when watching, to put it one way, when watching a Peter Parker part of the movie, I never was sitting there going, oh, okay, but when is he going to be Spider-Man? You know, or I never was watching Spider-Man action moments going, okay, but what's happening? What's the plot? There was an excellent balance and meshing of the identity of Peter Parker and Spider-Man that we really haven't seen in a way. For example, the Tobey Maguire movies, the whole core of those movies is, how can I love Mary Jane if I'm Spider-Man? Where responsibility.
Well, so let's not forget, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker was kind of a whiny bitch. Tom Holland is an actual kid who we see try to balance. Hey, he was, man, stop that. Tom Holland.
Look, if I could just have a movie of Alfred Molina, though.
Okay, you
shout out to Alfred Molina for being the best Spider-Man villain.
Tom Holland gave a spectacular performance, no pun intended, as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker. I was actually very impressed with his presentation of this character because I bought him as a nerd. I bought him as not a direct social outcast, but somebody who fell into the characteristics that we've come to know of Peter Parker. He's very intelligent. He's not that popular socially, but he's not completely unpopular. He has friends. They're just kind of a group of
nerd friends.
And when they presented, like, the acting in this was phenomenal on all parts. We called up Michael Keaton as the villain. Great
he's
role,
a national
very sympathetic,
treasure,
but also let's not forget his henchman, Bokeem Woodbine. Oh, well, okay, I'll get to that.
Bokeem Woodbine's in this movie?
Bokeem Woodbine, my friend, yes. Oh. I want to say a little about them, so let me hold off for a second, because the kids, this is the first Spider-Man movie where everyone who's supposed to be in high school actually looked like high school kids because they were freaking kids.
Bokeem Woodbine?
Yeah, we're
face yourself. But the acting, the kid that played Flash, there was a big backlash about, oh, he's brown, we can't have that. Flash Thompson's supposed to be white. No, Flash Thompson was written in the 60s to follow an archetype of who would bully a character like Peter Parker.
The 60s jock.
Exactly, and we've actually come into a new generation of this. We still look at it like those same tropes of old movies we saw when we were growing up. We are at least everyone in this room is at least twice the age of the target demographic for this movie, and it was written very well. Look, you're old,
I think
like the rest of us just feel.
Thanks.
But the target demographic for this is kids around 15, you know, 20, those that can relate directly to the young Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and the archetypes that they face in their day-to-day high school experience is very different from ours. It's very different from the brown people. It's very different from those of the original writers of Spider-Man. You know, like the generational shift is reflected in this. I caught on to that, and I appreciate the hell out of it. And I want to emphasize that with Flash Thompson, who wasn't just this random Aryan strongman who somehow made it on the football team. Well, he's actually he's an intelligent guy, but he's also a dick.
Well, also keeping in mind that they're at a science and technology high school, so even the jocks are like nerd jocks. No, and I really appreciated. No, I really appreciated that there's still like a bully character, but they're still like on the trivia team.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And phenomenal performances all from the characters who were normally
really
minor.
Strong.
The characters who were normally minor.
Aunt May was
Marissa Tomei. She was great. And
she's such a babe.
There's been some backlash on her age. Also, like, what is she? She's in her like at least early mid-50s. Like, she's not that young. If you're looking at her age relation to how old Peter Parker is in this, I don't think
it's a big difference.
I don't think having her be younger than the gray hair Aunt May that we think of. But, like, she's not much a big age difference than Sally Fields was in, the last incarnation.
Yeah, and one thing I did notice about Aunt May is the running gag in this, which I thought I'd get tired of, but I never did, is everyone's trying to smash.
Everyone's trying to smash.
Everybody Peter Parker hits on Aunt May a couple of times in Civil War, and it's amusing.
See, when you're a kid growing up like that, you got to learn how to throw hands, or you're never going to survive.
You mean Tony Stark.
Yeah, in this, you see the whole neighborhood is on that. They know what's up. Okay, now right back to Bokeem Woodbine.
Thank God, that's what I'm waiting for.
This movie took great attention to detail for Marvel fans without completely pandering.
Can I ask one question that might be a spoiler real quick? Does he survive?
Bokeem?
Yeah.
He survives.
Okay.
Yes. Everyone survives.
Thank God.
Everyone survives.
Bokeem survived the movie.
And
that's actually a big key point that we should tie back into.
Okay, well, I'll let Johnny touch on that. Let me just get this out real quick. If you're a Marvel fan, there's Easter eggs all over this sucker. And not things that they're ham-fistedly forcing in, just little tidbits they drop here and there that make sense to the story and make sense to the actual production of the locations where they are. One thing that always pissed me off is when, especially watching the old Spider-Man cartoon, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Spider-Man shoots a web up in the open sky, and he's just swinging all over the place. In this one, he gets stranded in an area where there's no tall buildings, and it actually has a scene of how do I deal with this practically? Because I can't just like swing from, a skyscraper to skyscraper. That was awesome. And then if you're a fan of movies that have, one villain, two villains, or you hate the ones that have, you got 3, 4, it's unnecessary. This movie had 5. Actually, this movie technically had 6 villains. If you want, exactly, yeah, and
if you're
if you're a Marvel fan, you'd identify him. If not, it had 2 villains.
We don't mean like they're the main villains in the movie, but it had like characters that either are or become.
All right, you're gonna have to fill me in later.
Yeah,
it's not a spoiler to call them out because I mean, again, if you're a hardcore fan, you'll notice them right away. If you're not, you won't have to worry about it. But there's
Scorpion.
There's
Scorpion.
Step by step here. There's the Vulture, obviously. There's the Shocker.
Got the tattoo on his neck, right?
No spoiler. There's a man with a large scorpion on his neck, guys. Let's not. This isn't a spoiler. You look at him for 2 seconds and you're like, oh, hey, guy. With
I should have
realized
that one.
Slow down.
Okay.
Pace yourself. But there's the Vulture.
Yep.
There's the Shocker.
Yep.
We mentioned the Scorpion. There's also the Tinker.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. If you're quick enough to catch it, there is also the Prowler. Yeah.
Spider-Man's got a lot of villains, right?
If you're quick enough to catch it, and here's one that if you're really good, if you're really like anal retentive like I am, you may even catch Montana. Montana is an old Spider-Man villain. Yeah, he's an old Spider-Man villain.
I mean, a lot of these are probably not going to go anywhere, but it's the point we're making is there's a lot of care put in this movie, and when we say Easter eggs also, it's not like that kind of like shoehorned in, like, oh, look at this. Like, it really had a lot of content that was both heartwarming and, there were some fight scenes that had me like on the edge of my seat. Like, it's really just well made.
Quick, just to interject, just for you, Bokeem Woodbine is in this movie, and he's not playing anonymous, random, nameless henchman who dies in like 5 minutes. He's playing a legit role.
This isn't 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
No. That's still sympathetic. Like, everyone has legit motivations, including Bokeem Woodbine, who is not the key villain. You think only like the big bad would get a storyline that you'd want to pay attention to?
Yeah.
Nope. Bokeem Woodbine does as well.
Perfect.
Continue, please.
Oh no, I was just saying there's something that I enjoyed. A lot of the times, and this is a big problem that I honestly had with like Iron Man 3, where you want to pay attention to plot or action, and they did not feel like a coherent film. Something that I found really problematic with Iron Man 3 was that the action aspects of it felt very shoehorned into a very interesting plot, to be honest.
Well, because I think you're exactly right on that, but I think that's because that director wanted to make a talkie type movie, but it had to have action.
But then it had to have action.
This
was an excellent balance of engaging action that had the Spider-Man feel, if you will, which to me is that athleticism, almost dance-like movements of Spider-Man. And I mean, the actor has a dance background, which I think is something very important to acknowledge.
That explains when he two-stepped on top of the Chrysler building. I was wondering.
No, but it's something that this movie really nailed. Also, Tobey Maguire is too big to be Peter Parker physically. And I know that sounds crazy, but because he's not that big of a guy, but the build of Spider-Man is not a burly person. Obviously it varies artist to artist over the years, but Spider-Man doesn't bulk up. He's not Captain America. He doesn't get bitten by a, workout spider. And no, but if you think about the way that Spider-Man moves.
I've been searching for workout spiders for years.
But if you think about the way that Spider-Man moves and the way that he uses his webbing and the way that he uses his powers, you want someone to have that almost, acrobatics.
It's almost refreshing too that they do that, because I'm sick of like these guys. It's like, how many protein shakes did you have to drink to get into?
Look, not everything has to be a Rob Liefeld drawing. Like that's, it's important that this film kind of has also all character types. Like Spider-Man's best friend in this movie is a larger character,
bird waist.
And like is a larger character. He's a big boy, and he's not made fun of for it. Do you know what I mean? The character's not laughed at. He doesn't have any, silly fat guy moments. Like he's a great character.
Yes,
he's an intelligent character, an engaging character, and a good friend. And it's something that it doesn't feel like, oh, here's the fat sidekick. And that's something that I thought was really meaningful to see in this film. That, as you said, is very much geared toward teens. That there was a wide array of diversity of body type, diversity of, just all, colors, creeds, whatevers, and it felt like New York City.
This is the
and
most
that's something
diverse...
that I haven't felt from the Spider-Man franchise, who is a boy from Queens, and as someone who grew up in that area,
who has a butt you could just jump a quarter on.
He's a real hot ant. We can all relate to this. No, but really, in conclusion, for me though, this felt like they well-named Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, here is your Spider-Man. Here is Spider-Man has arrived. When I made a little Facebook post after the movie for my no spoiler review, it just said a fun, engaging film with action that takes place mostly in daylight.
Yes.
And to me, that's Spider-Man.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Not grimdark, not brooding.
Not dancing down the streets of Manhattan. Oh, no, stop it. We do not condone that.
I think what takes this film beyond just being a Spider-Man film and just being like one of the best superhero films is the attention to detail that they did, thinking about, and I'm talking about the writing, not necessarily the character of Peter Parker, because it's the consequences that he sort of struggles with to fully realize that Iron Man's constantly sort of pointing him out on. But rather the consequences that the writers are taking in consideration as they are creating these scenes, and as they are creating a storyline, they're always thinking of what are the repercussions, what does this mean to the character in the storyline, because throughout the whole film, it's not about catch the bad guys and save the day. It's about save the people first, save the innocent people first, treat them well, like be the Spider-Man. Don't be like this blockbuster, I'm gonna punch the bad guy in the face and everything.
It references some key Spider-Man moments, and again, no spoiler, but it references some pivotal moments that Spider-Man fans will recognize from monumental moments from the comics.
That one time when he climbed up the wall.
But there's a moment in the film that I will not say what it was because it's a major spoiler, but when you see it, if you are someone that has read Spider-Man comics, it takes a classic panel and really makes it into this, heart in your throat moment where you're not only rooting for the superhero, but you're rooting for Peter Parker as a person. And that's the humanity that previous incarnations have lacked.
With just other superhero movies, like you look at the Avengers, you look at Captain America.
I'm a huge Thor fan, and I just don't care about the character Thor in the MCU.
There's things blowing up all the time. There's cities getting destroyed. There's rubble everywhere, and none of them care. They just want to smash the bad guy in the face, and none of them are really caring about saving the little people.
No, all I'll say, final thing, just to wrap this up. The performances were phenomenal. The script was phenomenal. The production was incredible. Everything looked authentic and gave you a sense of this could actually happen in the world with this level of technology.
The greatest.
And also, it was damned amusing. I laughed my ass off. I damn near cried at some scenes. I was very impressed with the acting of children, with the acting of adults. Michael Keaton, I think, gives his best performance since Birdman.
Yes.
I would recommend anyone see this so freaking highly. I'm planning to see it again.
Okay.
Like it's
I want to see it again.
It's one of the best superhero movies to begin with.
It ain't no Ninja Turtles 1, though.
No,
it's serious.
I mean,
I'm serious.
It is no Ninja Turtles 1, but I would jokes aside, I would put it with Ninja Turtles 1 as a good New York superhero movie.
That New York that honors is Ninja Turtles 1. I'm not being funny.
This is not being cute, not being funny. One of the most important characters in Ninja Turtles is New York City.
Yes.
One of the most important characters in Spider-Man Homecoming is the backdrop of New York City.
All right, you saw me.
And the soundtrack, they had the Ramones in there and everything.
They did. They did. They also had Raffi.
They didn't have Coldplay, so that's all that really matters.
I will go on to say...
You stop that. Herb, have we sold you?
Yeah, I'm totally going to check it out.
All right, cool. If you have anything to say about this movie, you want to nerd out with us, or let us know how wrong we are, and how messed up your motorcycle accident was. You okay? All right, well then, hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com or check us out on twitch.tv/thegeekdown if you want to chime in. Next show, because we're out of time this week. I want to thank Mix Macabre.
Bye.
I want to thank Just Johnny.
Yo.
I want to thank Black Adam Willis.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to thank you, the lovely audience, for joining us. I've been Pat B, and this has been the Geek Down on WEMFradio.com. Be sure to check us out on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You search The Geek Down. We're usually the first result that comes up. And we'll catch you all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Until then, be excellent to each other. And check out Witness the Wasteland at
Oberon this Thursday at 7:30.
Yes. Be good, kids. Peace.
To him, because he's already been there, he's used all the charm life.